Trump just did something never seen before. He publicly authorized the CIA to carry out lethal operations in Venezuela.
Why did you authorize the CIA to enter Venezuela?
And this is Maduro's response.
This is a drill enemy air raid. When you hear this siren, it's an enemy air raid.
Air raid sirens are being tested in several Venezuelan cities right now. The population is being trained on what to do when they go off. Maduro knows that something big is about to happen, something he can't stop. In the last 72 hours, the United States has sent strategic bombers and nuclear submarines to the Caribbean, something they haven't done in decades. And now, Venezuela is preparing for the worst. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what's happening and why Maduro has good reasons to be terrified. It began on Tuesday, October 14th. On that day, American forces attacked another vessel in the Caribbean near the Venezuelan coast. 6 people were killed. Trump said that intelligence confirmed the boat was involved with narco-terrorist networks, but no details were released. And this wasn't an isolated attack. Since the beginning of September, there have already been 5 such attacks, with 27 people eliminated in total, all at sea. The next morning, Wednesday the 15th, something even more dramatic happened. 2 A-52H Stratofortress bombers took off from Barksdale Air Force Base in Louisiana. The call signs were Bunny 01 and Bunny 02. Bunny, an ironic name for one of the deadliest weapons there is. These planes flew straight to the coast of Venezuela, got less than 200 kilometers from Caracas, and stayed there, circling for more than 2 hours. Now, try to imagine what Maduro felt at that moment, because the Venezuelan radar was picking up everything, and he could see those giant planes on the monitor. He knew exactly where they were and couldn't do absolutely anything. In fact, these are not ordinary planes. The B-52 carries 32 tons of bombs and has a 14,000-kilometer range without refueling. It has been in operation since the 50s. It's a living symbol of the Cold War. When the United States sends these planes near a country, they're also sending a very clear message. We have the power to destroy whatever we want, from wherever we want, whenever we want. Here's a detail few people mention, but operations against drug trafficking don't use strategic bombers like these. You don't need a nuclear aircraft to intercept boats carrying drugs. This is actually a show of force, pure psychological intimidation. The bombers stayed in international airspace. Technically, they didn't violate anything, but they flew within the Maiquetía Flight Information Region, an area where Venezuela manages air traffic. But the bombers were just the beginning. Hours later, still on Wednesday afternoon, Trump did something historic. He was in the Oval Office at the White House. Next to him were the FBI director and the Attorney General. The room was full of cameras rolling and eager reporters. That's when Trump publicly confirmed something shocking. He authorized the CIA to conduct covert operations inside Venezuela. Let me repeat that. CIA operations are always secret. Always. It's literally their job to operate in the shadows, gather intelligence, act without anyone knowing. Now, when a president authorizes a CIA operation, it never becomes public. Never. It's confidential by nature. But Trump announced it in front of the cameras. So, why did he do that? Well, because this time, the goal isn't to keep it a secret. Yeah, like you saw before, it's really to scare people. It's to make Maduro understand the mess he's gotten himself into. Now, he knows that the CIA is authorized to operate in Venezuela. But he doesn't know where, when, or who in his own government might be working with the Americans. Now, every advisor becomes a suspect. Every general becomes a threat. Maduro no longer knows who he can really trust. Trump turned the announcement into a psychological weapon. Trump had two justifications for this action. The first is that Venezuela emptied its prisons and sent criminals to the United States. Prisoners and people from mental institutions, according to him, are crossing the American border.
I authorized it for two reasons, really. Number one, they emptied their prisons and sent them to the United States of America. They came through the border. They got in because we had an open border policy.
The second, drugs. A lot of drugs, according to him.
And the other thing is drugs. We have a lot of drugs coming from Venezuela. A lot of Venezuelan drugs come in by sea, just so you know, but we're going to stop them by land too.
But there's more. He said that the United States is looking into land operations, not just at sea, but on land too. Total escalation. In that statement, a reporter asked Trump an odd question. Does the CIA have permission to execute Maduro? Trump smiled, but behind that smile, he was hiding his dissatisfaction. Then he answered, stating the obvious. It's ridiculous to answer that. Then he added, I think Venezuela is feeling the heat.
When asked if the CIA is authorized to eliminate Maduro, Trump refused to answer. He called the question ridiculous.
That's a ridiculous question.
And by heat, we all know what he meant. The United States is offering $50 million as a reward for information leading to the arrest of Maduro. $50 million. That's a lot. There are a lot of people who would like to get their hands on that reward to help capture Maduro. Maduro's reaction to all this was immediate. That same night, he ordered emergency military exercises. Not the following week, not tomorrow. Immediately, in the suburbs of Caracas, in Petare, and in the state of Miranda. He mobilized everything: army, police, civilian militias, Bolivarian militias, everyone in the streets. Maduro gave dramatic speeches on television. He said, no to coups orchestrated by the CIA. Yes to peace, people of the United States. He was asking for peace. Meanwhile, his vice president, Delcy Rodriguez, appeared making empty threats, saying that no aggressor should dare. Because here is the people of Bolivar, with their swords raised to defend us. Now, think a little about what she just said. Swords raised. Yes. Against nuclear bombers and submarines. The Venezuelan government continually provides material for a comedy show. Trump has even mocked a video of an alleged training of Venezuelan civilians. The Minister of Foreign Affairs was more diplomatic, but just as desperate. He said, we view with extreme concern the use of the CIA and the military movements in the Caribbean. Venezuela, in turn, announced that it will file a formal complaint with the United Nations Security Council. It will accuse the United States of violating sovereignty and threatening international peace. When you run to the United Nations asking for protection, it's because you know you can't defend yourself alone. But here's the reality. The United States has veto power in the Security Council and can block any resolution against them. And even if they didn't veto it, what is the United Nations going to do? Issue a reprimand letter. The next day, Thursday, the 16th, the New York Times published a report that confirmed what everyone suspected. Citing American officials from the Trump administration, the newspaper revealed that the purpose of the CIA's authorization is to remove Maduro from power. It's not just about drugs. It's not just pressure. It's regime change. And to achieve that, the CIA was given carte blanche to carry out lethal operations. It can act alone or as part of a larger military operation. That's official now. It's not a conspiracy theory. And do you want to know how they plan to do that? Since the end of August, the the United States has mounted the largest military operation in the Caribbean in decades. 10,000 American troops in the region, 8 warships, a nuclear submarine, F-35 fighter jets. And here's a detail that few people noticed. Who is commanding this operation? The 2nd Marine Expeditionary Force. The 2nd Marine Expeditionary Force? This is one of the main combat forces of the United States. They specialize in expeditionary warfare, invasions, large-scale operations, and regular anti-drug operations. They are commanded by the Coast Guard or small specialized units. When you put the Marines in command, it's no longer just about drugs. It's preparation for something much bigger. I'm not sure if you know, but this isn't the first time the United States has tried to oust Maduro. In 2019, the American government recognized Juan Guaido as the legitimate president of Venezuela. They imposed heavy economic sanctions, froze Venezuelan assets, and pressured allies to do the same. The strategy was to suffocate the regime until it collapsed. It didn't work. Maduro kept the loyalty of the military and survived. Guaido lost influence, and today he's been forgotten. But there's an even more bizarre story. In May 2020, a group of mercenaries tried to invade Venezuela by sea. The operation was called Gideon. The plan was to capture Maduro and take him to the United States. There were 2 Americans in the group, former soldiers hired by a private security company from Florida. The attack was a complete disaster. The Venezuelan authorities already knew about the plan. They easily intercepted the boats, killed some, and arrested others, including the 2 Americans. Maduro showed the prisoners on state television as trophies. It was humiliating for the United States. It became known as Bahia dos Porquinhos, a joke about the failed Bay of Pigs invasion in Cuba. The American government, in turn, denied official involvement, saying it was a private operation. But now it's different. They're not mercenaries. They're the official armed forces of the United States. It's not improvised. It's an operation that's been planned for months. It's not just economic pressure. It's direct military action. The CIA now has official presidential authorization. This time, it's genuine. But then, what's next? Well, as you can see, the situation is at its peak of tension. The American fleet remains in the Caribbean. The CIA is operating, or will soon operate, in Venezuela. Maduro has mobilized all his forces. The air raid sirens are being tested, and 3 things are clear. First, Trump is not bluffing. 27 people have already been eliminated. Nuclear bombers have been deployed, and the CIA has received public authorization to act. Trump also mentioned ground operations. Every action confirms that he means business. According to Maduro, he is weaker than ever. The Venezuelan economy is destroyed. 7 million people have fled the country. He is internationally isolated. He mainly depends on Cuba, Russia, and Iran. But that support has its limits. Maduro doesn't really have the capacity to confront the United States. Third, a single mistake can lead to war, which is war. There's a lot of military force concentrated in a small area. Tension is very high. If an American plane is shot down, if troops get into direct confrontation, if any incident happens, the escalation could be quick and violent. Members of the American Congress themselves are quite concerned. Democratic Senator Jean Shaheen said publicly, "The American people deserve to know if the government is leading the United States into another conflict." Even Republicans are questioning whether Trump has authorization to do this without Congress's approval. But Trump keeps moving forward. Venezuela filed a complaint at the United Nations, but the international response is divided. Some countries condemn it. Others remain silent. And inside Venezuela, the high military command must be evaluating their options at this moment. When you have $50 million on your leader's head and the CIA operating in your country, loyalty starts to be tested. One thing is clear: Trump is doing what previous administrations would have liked to do, but didn't have the courage to. Some will say it's aggression. Others will say that finally, someone is taking action against a dictator who turned Venezuela into a failed state run by drug trafficking. But one thing is certain, as Trump himself said, Maduro is really feeling the heat, and the world is watching. The question now is no longer if something will happen, it's when. And what do you think? Do you think Trump was right to publicly announce the CIA operations to put psychological pressure on Maduro? Or should he have kept everything secret? Leave your opinion in the comments. If you found this video informative, share it with someone who needs to know what's really happening in the world. And subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos. Thanks, and see you next time.